So, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today. For some of you, it's coming up on dinner time. For others, you've just finished work. So we do appreciate you, making the time today to join us for what we hope is a very special and very significant webinar that's going to be both valuable and informative to you as a member, to your clubs, because it's on a really important topic, which is mental health and wellness. It's something that this year in particular, Rotary has prioritized, particularly our RI President Gordon. He's really put a stamp on it to make it a priority in Rotary, not just as a matter of what we can do to help our communities, but also to look internally, look at the mental health and wellness of our members, make sure that we're okay, make sure that everybody's doing well. Because, if you don't take care of yourself and we don't take care of our fellow Rotarians, we can't help others. We can't really do our best in giving to others in the world. So mental health and wellness is really a top priority this year. It should be continuing next year as well. But, it's something that it's about time, I think, that we all really started looking at it and paying attention to it. And, this is really going to give us a good opportunity, not just today, but moving forward, to explore some of the different avenues and some of the different opportunities that clubs and members have to really take on mental health as a initiative, as a project, as an activity, regardless of how big or small they are. And one of the ways and one of the resources that are available is the Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives, the RAGMHI, which has done a lot of work, not just over the last year or so, but for the last 8 years since it's been founded, in developing resources, toolkits, strategies that, we can all follow, we can all learn from, we can all easily adopt, adapt, and implement. So today is really going to be focused on the Rotary Action Group, and more specifically, one of the things that they've accommodated for our districts, District 7020 and District 7030, is they've created this new mechanism of country chapters, which will allow in each of our respective countries and territories in the Caribbean to kind of formally set up, a group from an administrative and from an operational perspective that can oversee the activities and can guide the activities of clubs and members when it comes to mental health initiatives and mental health activities. So I don't want to take up too much more time. I want to get us straight into it. And to help kick us off, we have the pleasure of our RI Director for Zones 33, 34, Jeremy Hurst, in attendance. And he's just going to address us really quickly and lend his support to this. So Jeremy, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sean, and good evening, everybody. Assuming everyone's from this part of the world, if not, whatever time of day it is, it's wonderful to be here. First of all, can I say how delighted I am to be here at the spearhead of this initiative? And of course, this is an initiative which directly reflects one of the priorities of President Gordon. So I not only bring my own best wishes, and thanks to each of you for engaging in this, but in particular, his thanks for you to drive this forward. I had the opportunity to speak to him yesterday, told him that I intended, subject to my call, to be on the call. And he wanted me to express congratulations and thanks for the initiatives and for the momentum you're building behind this. And presidential initiatives are interesting things, and it's something we've been discussing at the board level. And how do we really make sure that these are not a one and done? How do we make sure that they create momentum and that we take the very most of it? And I can tell you the decision that we've come to, the conclusion that we've come to, and it's I think a valid one, is that the most valid and the most effective way of doing this. Even more delighted to see that the Mental Health Initiatives Rotary Action Group, RAGMHI, is taking the initiative here to drive this forward. It's the right place for these initiatives to exist, not just within the year that they're envisaged by the President, but also, most importantly, to carry them on, to build that sustainability, to create that groundwork, to create that institutionalized expertise and knowledge base that can then work its way through our district into our clubs. The other point I want to make is the importance of the whole concept of country chapter. One of the recognitions that we've had recently, and I think it's always been there, is that the Rotary doesn't have a Rotary International. It happens very differently in many places in the world. In fact, as we know from our own clubs, it's very different from club to club. But what's most important, I think, is that we understand this concept of regional adaptability and how we can be better when we're trying to solve the problems, identifying the problems, bring a solution at club level on a country-by-country basis that's appropriate to our culture. Having said that, I think one of the things we can be absolutely sure about is that we have a common challenge here. The idea of mental health and even good mental well-being is something which rightly has come to the head after what I think probably ever was challenging times in recent history. If you had to sort of have a alignment of the planets in the wrong direction, they have happened over the past 5 years. Increased wars like we never thought we'd seen the last of. Who would have thought we'd have had a true pandemic, a global pandemic? This was stuff of movies 5 years ago. But now we've seen this, but the world needs help recovery. And I love the comment that Sean made earlier. Really, this needs to start with ourselves. Start with ourselves on a country-by-country basis, but most importantly, start from within our clubs. I'm proud to say, as a past district governor of District 7020, my team, when I was district governor back in 2013-14, took the initiative of putting well-being chairs in each of our clubs, just to look out for our members, just to think about how our members could care for each other. And I think that theme is now being replicated globally in terms of how do we go ahead and make our clubs places where our members feel more comfortable, where they feel cared for, where they feel they belong, where inclusion is the word that binds us all. In any case, I think I've just touched on a few ideas there. And what they all say is that you are doing the right thing at the right time. So you have Zone's full support, you have Rotary International's full support, and you definitely, of course, have President Gordon's full support as you drive this forward. You have my congratulations, you have my thanks. Keep it up. And if you need anything, come to us. We'll be happy to continue to support moving forward.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, and thank you again for taking the time out. I know you're a bit under the weather, so we really appreciate it very much. To help kick things off and, to make sure that we are fully representative of our Caribbean district, I'd like to introduce Michelle Majid from District 7020. She is the program chair for mental health and wellness at the district level. And Michelle's going to more or less kind of introduce our keynote speaker today. Michelle?
Thanks, Sean. So we have with us today PDG Bonnie Black, founder and charter chair of the Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives and current regional representative for the Americas. She joined Rotary in March of 1989. I wouldn't tell you how old I was at that time. Bonnie has served in many clubs, district and zone capacities, but in 2016, she stretched that to global service when she founded the Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives. Serving as its founding chair until 2022, and then as treasurer and regional representative for the Americas, Bonnie continues to blend her passion for Rotary with that of suicide prevention and intervention locally, statewide, and internationally. So, Bonnie, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. And Jeremy, we're classmates, 13, 14. We're with a lot of people mimicking us. That's everybody else doesn't know what that means, but Jeremy. To do. So our site with everybody. And by putting that, I hope you will learn more about what is available to every Rotarian as well as district. You can see from our homepage that we have the 3 defined areas President Gordon wants us to focus on. And with him, and at almost 2 years, he went down to make sure that his platform and our action group were cohesive and we agree. The first is break. And important, and you live it in the VM because countries are not all aligned in what mental challenges might be. Mental health challenges, we all have them. If we stub our toe, it's not going to be a great day for a while. But also, if you have a diagnosable disorder, life is different. But beliefs of the world are very different. And that's why we, as the action group, must accommodate and make available to all levels of understanding what mental health challenges are, beginning with self-care, as well as caring for our fellow Rotarians, our community, and our world. So breaking stigma really needs to come first. And we have a category that, you can link to some of those. This step is really, once we begin to break stigma, that we have to raise awareness that mental health challenges are pervasive in society. Most countries have a statistic, and this is gathered by the World Health Organization, that 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 of us actually have a diagnosable mental health disorder. It is something we haven't spoken about due to various taboos globally. Years ago, I usually say in my trainings, we never spoke about cancer. Now we know so much more about cancer due to good, valid research and promotion that, yes, there are certain lifestyle changes we can make, etc. So these are things now that mental health we're beginning to talk about and raise awareness. And ultimately, to increase capacity within ourselves individually to be mentally healthy, mentally well, as well as increase capacity within our communities and within our healthcare systems. Now, some people may think that's a very big order. It is if you're starting from zero, and that's okay. We'll start from zero, and we are starting from zero in the world. In 2016, there is no way I envisioned a Rotary International president having mental wellness as a priority, because I understood that globally, we just don't talk about or whoever, okay? We just don't talk about mental health. But on our homepage, you'll see that we have a carousel that has the brochure, which in English and French, which you'll find in your research at the bottom right tonight. We also have the lever, which is ending the wait list for child psychiatrists, and we've done it in global grants as well as locally. We have ways where you can become an individual member and help us to raise awareness and increase access. And then we have links into our very specific areas of breaking stigma, raising awareness, and access, increasing access and capacity. Now, I mentioned this thing we call toolkit. Are an easy way actually access proven that exists. We also have out for people to look at events which are only as good as the chapters who promote their events. We call a forum area. So if there's a specific area of interest, mental health, but he has, it's synchronous monitored forum, which means there's not somebody live 24/7 that does it, but will actually, read. And our groups use. We also have approved chapter, approved district, and the interesting in that is you can click on a map and see where in the world we have various districts that are already approved and have web pages. There are 11 in Southeast Asia stuff, most of which is in India. They are good and really about promoting that. We also have where members can sign up if you want to volunteer with us, like for instance at our House of Friendship booth in Singapore, or in our hub, which is a whole new aspect Rotary putting into the House of Friendship of disease prevention and treatment, which is our Rotary Family Health Days. And so we will be alternating each hour with presentations and people, professionals, as well as clubs, talking about their very specific programs that have worked well in their region. Then we have translate resources. Every toolkit and beyond is in the Rotary languages. And Rotary did all these translations because, as Gordon said, it must be accessible to everyone in Rotary. Videos, President Gordon talking on his platform. We also have Dr. Sajara, who was at the Internet Go, speaking on mental health initiatives, and Johns Hopkins University, very well vetted throughout the world. Various speakers that are available for your Rotary Club meetings. Documents, we try to keep them within the past couple of years. We post a thing that is veritably research in mental health and suicide prevention there, plus veritable websites, and then some suicide data from various areas in the world. Now, let's go first to toolkit. This is what you can take into tomorrow, literally. These are proven programs that have done in clubs, in districts. They have been done as of the little grants and various initiatives. So a couple, 3 of them that help you break stigma. We have 4 that actually help raise awareness. 1 is becoming a country or a district chapter. And then we have one, which is actually increasing access and capacity by training general practitioners or pediatricians in 5 symptoms of childhood anxiety, the 2 largest diagnosable mental health challenges that people have. And it is only the online training that they take, and they can get, depending upon where their licenses are, it's possible to get continuing education. But it also gives them access to toolkits that they literally can copy pages for parents and copy pages for older youth, understand depression, so they understand anxiety, so they know to work with someone as they are beginning to recover from the diagnosis of depression or anxiety. Our great increasing access. The Well Bot, one of these has its literal their own toolkit and use the most around the world. And it is for 12 and older to be used in schools, ideally, or with youth groups, whether it be boys and girls clubs, etc. The students have their Rotary liaison from a club, so that goes through it, so the club knows what they're putting out to students, and the students within a school itself learn how right questions when someone just doesn't seem to be themselves today, and it actually diminish negative attitudes break that stigma about mental health, and it actually promotes seeking in a peer manner, youth to youth. See, leadership, I've heard interact clubs. So if you have an interact club that your club sponsors, this is an ideal way to meet youth services as well as improving mental health for those youth. And they're our future. We have to be able to do that. Toolkit, which can be downloaded, gives you all of the elements of what you can do and is possible to work within the youth health itself. That we've seen in global camps too. That was in Nigeria. Yeah, it's been in Kenya, really breaking stigma and raising awareness in a wonderful fashion. Yeah, looking inward is something that Gordon asked develop and has been implemented this Rotary year and reporting on data in Singapore. This is self. We have to be mentally well in order for Rotary and Rotarians to go out there and help their immediate community as well as our global community. This encourages this. And, again, you can just click on the contents. You can download it. If anybody is going to choose to do it within their club, I have speaker's notes, and that's sort of how we're keeping track of how it's delivered. And there's a 60-second quiz at the end, a survey, basically, 5 questions. It's anonymous. It goes into a Google Sheet, and then periodic, we can the date, the time, and the geographical region. We can report back to that club or that district, this conference or club meeting, anonymous again. And also, Gordon is looking at this because he wanted to see is any change in the mental wellness of Rotarians. We have a focus. And he's going to look at the data from July, August, September, etc. And we're also urging clubs and districts that do this survey to actually make sure that they can, in a almost a pre and a post evaluation, Rotarians today really focused on mental wellness in the year, and then later on, as we understand ourselves better, we're caring and providing comfort to the best of our ability to our own club members, etc. And Gordon's going to be reporting in Singapore about how we're doing ourselves regarding our own mental health and mental wellness. Another very quick one that can happen by any Don't Bottle It Up awareness campaign. And what do you think? Basically, our template, and we also have this, and most of them have a video about how the toolkit has worked in various parts of the world. But we've got a template. You get a black fabric backdrop. You get hopefully a Rotary bottle. Gordon didn't have his. We were pretty upset with whoops. We got the photo back. And you create posters. You can have of the mayor of your city, the president of your club, the chair of your mental health and wellness district committee, whomever, sports figures. You can see as you look further into that, they would be doing the Don't Bottle It Up campaign, which you also see periodically on our Facebook page. So that's a quick, easy, creating awareness, breaking stigma, and nothing. Our toolkits cost you nothing. Investment that does exist is in the training of specific, and that's where we've gotten into global grants or district grants that with the cost. club doesn't have conflict at some point or another. A great toolkit to actually, going to briefly get into this one, to actually download and work through issues. And we have some different supplementary materials, how it's worked in Nigeria, etc. So you can take a look at that. We've also got resilient. Now, this can be done with youth as well as adults. So it's anybody high school or older. That's the whole point of we bounce back. We inherently can bounce back from any mental health challenge or anything in our lives. So we've got a tool there with a video of a young woman. It's a testimonial of how going through this toolkit actually helped her build her resilience and bounce back from a challenge. Now, this other toolkit that we have, I thought I could grab it there, is a chapter or a chapter for me. And you can download this and it gives you every single step. A district chapter or a country chapter. So basically, when you read the word district here, and in your case, as a country chapter, the benefit of becoming chapter. And when you apply to become an approved chapter and the board approves everything, then we actually say, okay, so you're going to have enough. The lowest level is $50 US annually, country chapter membership, and that gives 10 free members. You can get 50 members. You can get 100 members. It depends upon how many people you want to encourage in your country chapters. What we need to do, and it's included in the toolkit, we need the signature form, the sitting DG, the DTE, and the DGM to say, yes, agree with this initiative, and we have a district committee, and I'm going to maintain it in my year as DG also. Please, continuity and succession, which Rotary is all about, especially the 3-year term kind of idea. We also have the bylaws that are basically boilerplate for a few would have. It talks about how many people should be on your district committee. Officer, we encourage at least one Rotaractor in your district committee. That's certainly our full Rotary family. So, yeah, we have Rotaractors engaged in our country chapters. One of the things I wanted to show you is, okay, so you actually get the toolkit, follow the directions, you submit it, our board approves it, and we meet once a month. We sometimes approve electronically if one of the representatives, Americas, has sort of ends to begin with, like the board already knows what I'm doing tonight, and that you're looking at putting together country chapters. We start chapter, country chapter application. We already know what's going on. So I'll just pick country chapter. This is District 3030 in Nagpur. They happen to have decided that they were going to put up the Indian map and where 3030 is. Was a Zoom meeting that happened in October. They happen to do Zoom meetings, and I'm going to encourage them now that I've seen this. About every month they have a Zoom meeting and a presentation. So they also show ways to connect, but they got the calendar, what's going on in their district. They have their own on their own page. They do every month in their district. So you can go there and look in the library. What have they been putting out there on mental health? They have the different outcomes the project that and the global grant. They have, of course, they need people to join in the action too, but they have resources, and we are encouraging every single every single chapter to have that, as well as helpline numbers. This is so important because every country, every district is a Rotarian in District 3030. If they really are in an emotional crisis, they could go right to this and find ways, charitable ways. These are vetted to actually feel that they can get help right there. And then they also have their district for their country as well as video. And I would say at this point, Sean, I have covered the basics that we covered.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bonnie. I know a few folks were having a bit of difficulty hearing you throughout, but I'll make sure that the recording that goes out and that will be shared with everybody is clear and crisp and whatnot. But thank you so much for sharing all that information with us. And, one of the things that I'd just like to highlight really quickly is that within that Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives webpage, there is just an abundance of information that clubs and members can take right away and start to use, whether it's towards, increasing awareness, whether it's towards, the stigma aspect of it and whatnot. And then as well, there's so much information in terms of, how to take things to the next level in the formation of country chapters. And so on that note, what we want to do right now is we want to have a few representatives from both of our districts kind of have a bit of a discussion really quickly with Bonnie in terms of, mental health initiatives within the Caribbean, the establishment of country chapters. So on that note, joining Bonnie right now, we will have Alyssa Alves from Rotary District 7030, who is the program chair for mental health and wellness. Her counterpart, who I introduced earlier, Michelle Majid, who is the mental health and wellness program chair for District 7020. And we also have Samantha Nera from the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman and Tanya Weston from the Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain, who will be providing some of their feedback on this initiative as far as the club perspective. So it's an all-ladies panel, and I did that on purpose. Thank you very much. And I just want to welcome them all. And I'll actually just kind of kick things off, if it's okay with you guys, by pitching out this question in general. While it is that over the past few months or years, there's been a promotion and advocacy for the establishment of district chapters, I just want to touch on why it is for specifically District 7020 and District 7030, there is now the option for country chapters. And I think that's a good point to kind of kick off this panel discussion. And I'm going to leave you ladies with that in mind for now. Alyssa, I'll hand it over to you to kind of lead things.
All right. So thank you so much, Sean. And thank you so much, Bonnie, for walking us through the site. I think I might speak for other people, both on the panel and also among our participants, in saying, I didn't realize that there was such a wealth of resources that are just ready to go and ready to use. So that's exciting in and of itself. Another one of the reasons that we're looking at country chapters is because of the great diversity that there is within the Caribbean region, both in the northern and southern portions of the region. In terms of what you would recommend, so we've got these resources here. We've got so many of them that are ready to go. If I've got Rotarians who are rearing at the bit to start off their country chapter, I wondered if you have any initial advice for where would you begin? Where would you focus your attention if you were a country that was just starting their chapter?
Download the toolkit. We needed a by and sworn. And it notes toolkit on the website that I am the representative for the Americas. So all the way down to tariff with all the circle to Antarctica. And if you have questions, you just email, text me, you Facebook message, you WhatsApp message me. When individual, if you are the action group individual, everybody takes it into our RAGMHI member WhatsApp and for discussion back and forth. That's where a lot of promotion by different districts and what will be countries. And join our Zoom or our webinar or whatever, and the hot links are right there. So globally, follow the guidance in the toolkit. It is literally step by step. And I'm there to answer questions as you're going. We have named Alan Turner. Once the board approved, he will then hold your to get your web page on our site ready for your country. Now, as I mentioned, many chapters, we have 27 now. There are not 27 because don't allow it until it looks similar to the one in 3030. You've got your research, you've got your hotline, you've got your, thing, activities that you're doing. It can help others, model for others, just videos, photos, whatever. But that web page, first to do it as you want. So it'll make sure that you, as your country, will pick someone can maintain that. It's not. This is what it was in 2024. Now 2027, is that country not doing anything? We reserve the right to just not make it public. We're people of action. We want activities and engagement on every page. We also have bi-monthly open membership meeting online. We do it alone. So that is available to anyone who's a member of a district, member of a individual members. You hear about, well, I'm thinking about, and someone might say, oh, something similar to that. This is what we ran into, heads up, or, hey, it's easy, implement, just go do that. So we have that where you're sharing all the links. And our Facebook page, at least one post on it. And our Facebook cover gives you all the date and topics and the link to our bi-monthly open membership meeting also. And it's the same link all the time. So it should be easy.
Oh, thank you so much for that. So I see that there's so many different methods for not only guidance from within RI and from the RAG on mental health initiatives directly, but also peer support. And that's exciting.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted to commend Sean and yourself for, doing this for us today, because a few months ago, one of the country coordinators from Bahamas, Dr. Petra, she and I actually started conversations about this very sad thing, developing a chapter within the Caribbean region. So then, Sean's email to me was quite timely, but we do recognize the diversity that exists, as Alyssa said, and now the whole concept of country chapters. So when DG David took on his, reign last year, July, and we ended up with this mental health and wellness chair, what we did is for every single country in the district, we actually asked for country coordinators. And within each club, within each country, we created what is called a mental health ambassador. So, for example, Samantha, who is with me on the panel, she's actually the mental health ambassador for Rotary Club of Grand Cayman. And the idea is that whatever happens at the district level would eventually reach to the members via this ambassador. There was mention, Jeremy made mention of the wellness chair that was initiated some years ago. So it's not to replace the wellness chair in any way. It was meant to have, you have the wellness chair that look after your, health and well-being, but you have this ambassador who specifically focuses on, bringing more awareness to mental health initiatives, issues, things that are happening in the community, very focused attention on it. And I have to say that in front of everybody, Sam has been doing a tremendous job. She has all of us running a 5K on Saturday, all related to mental health as well. The whole purpose of that 5K was really to bring awareness and destigmatize the space. So for us, it will be pretty easy to create a chapter, since we already have country coordinators in each of our countries within our district. So this presentation is quite timely. Sam, I don't know if you wanted to add. Not to put you on the spot.
Echo what everyone said in terms of the sharing of the resources. And I'd actually had a play around. I tend to play and break things before I know what I'm doing. So I had a play around with some of the resources. I've actually joined a chapter, but I really didn't know what I was doing. So I think this is a really good catalyst for myself and Michelle now to get together, because I couldn't believe we live in Grand Cayman and we actually haven't physically met. So we need
the first time I'm seeing her.
I know. And I think, since the pandemic, we have gone much more online, and that brings so much opportunity. But I think we get so much more done when we come together physically as well. So this is going to spur us on to do that. So this is great. And yes, we're running a 5K on Saturday. And what I love about this is it brings the Rotary clubs together and the Rotaract clubs together as well to do something for our own wellness. But also this is about contributing to a scholarship fund, actually, that the Cayman Islands has in place for any Caymanians who want to take up a career in the mental health field. A couple of objectives that we're ticking off there. Yeah.
I love that idea. And our toolkit, our hope is that it continues to expand countries and districts, like what you were just talking about, and you've done it maybe 2 times, and you say, yeah, this is great, and here's the benefit, and it meets our purposes, as well as, our mental health and wellness initiatives within our club. And we're going to create our toolkit to share with the world where other clubs and districts can do the same thing. And we have that template available. And we make it available when a district does break country, shows us evidence of the veracity of the project. And, just tying fellowships for mental health professionals is like, wow, perfect. Because we need more and more in our regions.
Yeah, and the materials are fantastic. I actually did an introduction at our Rotary Club recently of, what is, our demographic is slightly older for our club. And so, a lot of the activities are focused on the youth. And it was interesting, after I used the resources on the website just to do a quick introduction about what the targets were across Rotary International and how I had interpreted that and what I was going to bring to the club and the role. And I'm just a first point of contact for the club as well. And I had people reach out to me for coffee
to ask me, well, what is mental health and what do you mean by this? And, oh, okay, so I see this in my family and I see this here. So it got the dialogue moving. It was because of having the resources, I could stand up there and speak about it. So that was very helpful.
Great to hear.
But Bonnie, you made a really good point about, because I was wondering where these toolkits, came from, if it was just a group of persons or if it was actually tried and tested cases of things.
Oh, yeah. We had outcomes. Outcomes, that's a little section. It's on one of the toolkits on the drop-down menu, but it's outcome on each toolkit.
Right.
And where it has worked well. And in some cases, what the data is.
And you're basically saying, like, let's say Sam and I develop something new and we test it out for a couple of months to a year or year and a half. We could come to you with the whole idea and it can form a part of the package of toolkits for other jurisdictions.
We would be adding it. I mean, that is our goal. More and more toolkits. It's really not up to the 8 of us on the board to invent for the world. We can't. Culturally, etc. Capacity, just like yeah, we want new toolkits from everybody who's actually doing something about well-being.
It was funny that you said wellness in a box is the most used one globally, because out of all, that was the one that attracted me the most. I think it had to do because it was like geared towards kids and very kid-centric, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But what I would also, I mean, I know we have 70-30 representatives on the call. What I know we did within Cayman, a lot of the Rotary clubs paired up with the Health Services Authority. Yeah, I think Hilton is on the call as well, so he could. He's aware that what we did is we got our Rotarians who were interested a reduced price, but to become mental health first aiders. So a lot of us have been trained in the last 6 months to at least identify the initial signs of someone suffering with mental anxiety, how you get them to speak, what kind of actions you would take to escalate the situation as needed. So that has helped us a lot too, to bring awareness within Cayman.
And what some chapters have done is apply for a district grant to afford the participant processing guides. Because I'm a trainer in youth mental health first aid and every iteration of adult, law enforcement, corrections, fire, all of those. So and I said, we could get every Rotarian in the world. I mean, mental health aid is in multiple languages. We actually worked with Lithuania, which is a district unto itself, and a high rate of suicide in Europe, not just even Europe. And what we used was the assist through Living Works, applied 2-day training, intensive because it is intervention, not just generic prevention. And Lithuania became one of the languages through a global grant that now for the assist training. And the data in 1 year, the drop in suicide rate in Lithuania was phenomenal. At between 30% decrease in suicide. Because people to appropriately, but most importantly, drops. And between mental first aid and assist, which I also train, I just want this all world. That's my personal goal. It's major training.
So, ladies, I'm just going to interrupt you guys real quick here. I just want to also give Tanya Weston a chance. So Tanya's club, Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain, they've been doing a good few activities with regard to mental health, particularly involving children. So Tanya was pretty much going to just quickly review what it is that they're doing, but also kind of look at it from the perspective of how best the current activities that they're undertaking, as well as any future activities, can be incorporated into and become part of the overall objectives, goals, and program of a country chapter. Go ahead, Tanya.
Thank you very much, Sean. As I was listening to PDG Bonnie's presentation, it was really interesting to see those three main areas of breaking stigma, raising awareness, and increasing capacity. Because I've been thinking that our club has just been taking baby steps, and I still think we are. But each of our baby steps seems to be falling into one of those three areas. So it's quite satisfying to know that we are heading in the right direction. So one of the first things that we did was actually part of our district criteria was having a mental health champion. So we installed a mental health champion last year, who is Maria O'Brien, actually our secretary. She's on Alyssa's committee. And from there, what we started doing was she is a real mental health champion, not just in the phrase, but every day it's part of her life. And so we've been having discussions in our group. So it is part of our meetings. We've had presentations in the form of poetry. We've had discussions with our members, actually identifying what are some of the mental health issues that they're dealing with. And as a result of that, I think that as peers, as friends, we are checking in with each other a little bit more because of that breaking stigma. And so while I thought, this is just a little thing, I realized from today's session that the breaking stigma is one of the main steps that we have to take, that it has to become part of our discussion, not just for a mental health project, but how does mental health and our mental health awareness play into every project that we have. So, for example, with our interactors, we've been looking for something that we can use with them, and I think we found something today. So I've already sent a note to both our youth service chair as well as our mental health champion. Check out those toolboxes, because those are so simple to implement. So with our youth, with our interactors, but also our Rotaractors, it's been a concern for them, and they've had quite a few well-being moments where they get into the botanical gardens and have yoga retreat. And so what we've been doing is when they have those activities, we encourage our Rotarians to participate as well, because that helps both sides, the young and the not so young, see how each other deals with the stresses and overcomes those stresses. More specifically, one of the projects that we are working on, it's actually an environmental project called Garden with Wings. But because of Maria's encouragement, how do we make our projects more mental health aware? Not aware. How does it incorporate mental health? We've actually started using that as a mental health initiative. So creating safe spaces within our Garden with Wings. So it's still in development, but also as District 7020 talked about having that 5K. Two of our district's committees, the Childhood Obesity as well as the Peace committees, they're working on a Rotary Moves project. And so for the last 3 years, this will be our third year, for our North Cluster of Trinidad, we've actually hosted a wellness morning, which involved chair aerobics, aerobics, yoga, Tai Chi, and a walk around the savannah. And so while we're doing that to get our Rotarians moving, we're seeing how this ties directly into mental health. And the one project that we have that I think is really the poster child for us, it's not our project, but we're partnering with an NGO called MyWise, and they're working with UE. It's called the Youth Gatekeepers Suicide Prevention, and it is like a peer counseling type of program in which we are encouraging students at UE to be able to identify and to help people who may be having challenges. I heard some frightening
statistics that for this semester, this year that's just passed, they've had in Trinidad, they've had 7 suicides. That's quite drastic, I think. And so that's just a summary of some of the things that we've been doing. Still baby steps, but really pleased to see that the areas that we're focusing on fall into those 3 broader areas that you spoke about, Bronnie.
And I don't think they're baby steps. I think you're walking. Yeah.
And one other thing for me personally is that, for example, when we had the launch of the Youth Gatekeepers, I was asked to present. And I said to Maria, there's no way, I have no credibility in the mental health space. And she's like, that's one of the things we have to change, that we all have credibility in the mental health space. And so when Sean earlier to say, would you do this? I'm like, of course I'll do it, because we all have to become mental health champions individually.
We do. Thank you for your work.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. We're a little short on time, so I'm going to just, switch us over into our last segment here, which is just a couple questions that we can throw out just to make sure that we're providing as much information as possible, which is a lot, and we know this. And so please, everybody who's on, feel free, you'll receive a copy of the recording. You can run through this again. Please check out the RAG on Mental Health Initiatives website, which you can access through the resources button on your Zoom toolbar. But here are the 2 questions I think we have enough time for, just to cover really quickly, if possible, Bonnie. The first is just with regard to the emphasis on an establishment of country chapters. You did provide us with, the idea of the toolkit for the chapter formation, but there are a couple of things I just wanted to emphasize as well as ask. The first is, when it comes to membership of the RAG on Mental Health Initiatives, again, one of the things you said was individuals can become members of the RAG. You can apply for and become an individual member of the RAG, and any one of us can do that. The option that we are speaking on today is with regard to country chapters. And with regard to country chapters, this is kind of where I want to point things. A country chapter can be made up of a group of individuals from multiple clubs within a particular country. Or if it is that you find yourself in a country with only 1 or 2 clubs, it can be made up of members of just 1 club. Any combination would apply. I think it's just a matter of meeting the minimum requirements in terms of, number of members, having the bylaws set up correctly, making sure that the branding is correct, demonstrating that you have a plan as far as sustainability, as far as action items. So all of that being said, the question I wanted to pose is, yes, the first step should be download the toolkit, take a look at it, run it through. But I think, let's say either from a district committee perspective, or in the case where there are country advocates, country representatives, country coordinators already in existence, how best would you suggest that we kind of move on a country-by-country basis to take that next step and formally explore and establish a country chapter?
Well, I think just take the word "get" out of your mind, and wherever our toolkit says think country. Think. Whether it be a country or an individual, this would be an approach chapter. Popped my email into the chat. Hopefully people can see it. It's bonnie.black@rotary7040, that's my district, .com, and ask a question. And there is no silly at all. And our board is very much ready to guide the format. And when you look at the bylaws, paperwork, it's there. X number of people, you have to have a president, you have the treasurer, secretary. We suggest at least 1 Rotaractor. The suggested requirement, we could have a Rotary club become become an approved chapter. Any club, we have regular club, level club, but then we have approved district or country chapter. We actually have the brand center create approved logo. You can anything regarding mental health initiative except comes from the brand center at our by the way. But we guide you every step of the, because mental health is health, and we need to talk about and
Thanks, Bonnie. And I think, one of the things too we have to remember is that again, we can have participation at a member level, we can have participation at a club level, we can have participation at an inter-club level, which would more or less be what a country chapter would end up being. And the country chapter just really formalizes things a bit more from both an, operational, administrative, sustainable perspective, just to make sure that mental health not only can continue as a priority action within particular communities, but also grow and develop over time. Yeah.
Yeah. And to remember, that's great. And if your country becomes approved country chapter, we roll you into your country chapter. But I'm an individual and I do this, whatever, and you're just in there.
Gotcha. The last question I have, and again, I know we're a little tight for time, is just with regard to, let's say, funding. If at all, and because that, unfortunately, does become a bit of an issue, particularly in our region, and particularly when we want to, activate some really great programs and whatnot. Funding always is an issue. So based upon, what has happened with various district chapters or other aspects of the RAG, can you just speak really quickly on any type of assistance, any type of facilitation that can come through the RAG, as far as not necessarily funding directly, but assistance with funding or assistance with grants along the line?
We can guide for district grants if we get a copy of your district addendum so we know what it is. We can definitely help with global grants because that's the same across the world. We have to have a Rotary Foundation cadre member as part of our board. We do. How about Nigeria cadre member from Ghana? And she can also loop in other cadre members, might know more about the country where something is going to be implemented. We, for an individual, are $25 US per person. That does not accumulate back for us to be able to fund the project. Our internal strategic plan is to grow enough in membership so that we can earn, nominal assist to drill 1,000 in different projects that they have some good track record of the club itself. In a district that has or a country that has a good track record, it's just like the foundation. You can't pour money in a boat that has holes in it. But we're looking to nominally assist in the next few years get our finances to a point where we can.
That's awesome. Thank you again, Bonnie. And again, thanks to all the ladies that took part on our panel today. I shouldn't even say ladies. I should just say people. All the persons that took place on our panel today, right? So Samantha, thank you. Michelle, thank you. Tanya, thank you. Alyssa, thank you. And Bonnie, a special thank you to you. And even though he jumped off, a thank you to Jeremy as well for taking time out of his schedule to kind of help us out and support. With that, I'm going to hand you guys over to Alyssa, who's going to close things off for us.
Yeah, I just want to keep it very brief since, well, I do sense that if we had more time, we could literally talk about this all night. And I am really so grateful to you, Bonnie, for coming and giving us your time tonight, for walking us through the site. And I'm sure that I echo the sentiments of everybody here in saying that this was so inspiring and energizing. And I'm sure we're all leaving this session filled with ideas about how we want to center mental health, both within our individual clubs and then within our countries as well. So thank you so much. And I hope you're looking forward to the sea of emails that you might receive from people wanting guidance and being excited about starting their own country chapter.